guys. I haven't been live in so long. Hi, 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 hi. Hello. Oh, I missed you guys. Okay, so this is the... Jessie, lay down. Lie down, baby. This is the Foxy Stitchalong prep video. So we'll go over all the things that you need to get started. Please don't do that. I thought she was going to start eating her food, and I was like, no, we can't be having that. Maybe a different time. I think that maybe that's a little bit better. It's been raining here all day. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So first we're going to go over all the little bits, and then I'll show you how to put your fabric in your hoop, all the different sizes there are, a couple different ways to transfer the image, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, I'll just give it a go. The first thing is there's no colors. There's no like, oh, she's doing it better than me, blah, blah, blah. Just do your best. Have a good time. You can always, always, always do another one. So please don't worry about like comparing yourself to other people's or thinking that you've never done it, so you're a little bit nervous or anything like that. Like, we're all just doing our best here, okay? So just do your best. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is different needles. Hello. I use an antique needle, which most of you know, but you can always try one of these packs. So the DMC 1 to 5 pack. There's other brands as well. I just have this one. I just happen to have this one here. Obviously the two biggest ones are gone, but you have different sizes. So you have different size shafts of the needle and different size holes. And my favorite ones, you can also get these Chanel needles like this. They have really, really, really big, long holes at the top, the eyes. And then they have the pointy, I need to do my nails, sorry. They have the pointy tips. So the ones that I use the most is this one. This is my regular needle that I always use. The eye's not too big, but it's good enough for all 6 strands. Then I have like 3 strands, which is a little bit smaller. And then I have 1 strand, which is the smallest and also the shortest. You don't need to have all of these. We're not going to do, tiny little itty bitty things in this. So any needle that you find that is your favorite, take it. I got mine out of an antique sewing box, which is why I always say I have the antique needle, because I cannot find anything like this. And I've looked all over the place. So there's that. The other ones over here, sometimes I'll use this one, the sword, to kind of point things out if I need to. And then this one here has a blunt tip, and that's really good for weaving. So if we do any kind of weaving, it's always nice if you see any of those to pick one up. You won't necessarily need it for this, but this is like my needle, all my needles. Good morning from Vermont. Good afternoon from England. So there's needles for you. The next thing we're going to do is fabric. So obviously I tend to use this just regular cotton fabric, just plain white. For this one, you might be tempted to do something a little bit different. So these are a collection of linens. They're all just regular 100% linen. They're a little bit more open weave than the cottons. So if you look at them side by side, you can see a lot of the warp and the weft of the fabric a little bit better here than you can here. So there will be a little bit more open weave, but there's all kinds of different selections. Really have a look at your fabric. You're looking for kind of 2 things. You don't really want to see through it too much. So you can like just barely see my hand here. And that's with like, the light going through it. You want to look at the plus, you know, the warp and the weft, and make sure that you can't see through it too much, that it's not too loose. I actually don't have any that is really, really loose with me because I've tried to get rid of all of it, you know, because I know I'm not going to use it for stitching. Yep, I'll go over that in just a minute. So there's that. If you want to choose a linen, someone sent me a linen the other day that was really, really, really loose, meaning that you could see like the table through it. So some linens you will be able to see through like this. Yeah. But it shouldn't be that bad. Okay. So I always say get 100% cotton. If you're in the States, you can go to Joann Fabrics and you can get like a Kona cotton, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's a little bit thicker as well. Or you can get the Country Classic Quilters cotton. Country Classics Quilters cotton, and it's in the plain section of Joann. So a lot of times when you walk in and you go, well, at least in my store, if you go to the left, that's where they have all like the patterns and the colors and stuff. Normally they have a solid section as well, and have a look in the solid section and you'll normally find the Country Classics quilting cotton there. You can also use Kona cotton. Like I said, it's just a little bit more expensive. I think the Country Classics is $4.99 or $6.99. I can't remember because I haven't been there in over a year. So, yeah, don't quote me on that. You can also go to any like online store like fabrics.com or anything like that. And you can look for quilting cotton there, and there's normally a solids section, and that would be acceptable. Okay, so there we go with that. I'm going to use just white because you can see it a lot better. I'm dying to use this one. I think it would look so beautiful, but I feel like you're going to have a hard time seeing the stitches on here. So I'm going to stick to white for this one, and I might do another one in the color. The pattern, when you open it, there's 2 files that you should have a read through. The first one is the instructions. It's just like here are your materials, and here's what we're going to do, and here's how it's going to work, blah, 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 blah. But definitely have a read through that just because it might answer the question that you have, if you know what I mean. Yeah. The other file is just a pattern. So it shows a picture of like the Stitchalong picture. And then there's a 6-inch, a 7-inch, and an 8-inch pattern. So you can choose which one you want. Make sure that when you go to push print, you're printing at 100%. So they're sized to go right inside of here. So I'm going to use 7 inches. I'm just going to take these ones away. But they're sized so that they fit on the inside ring. So they won't be exactly 7. They might be a little bit smaller because the 7 inches is to out here. That's what the 7 inches is. And when you put the ring inside, that actually minuses a little bit of space. So there's that. Let me think if there's anything else to do with hoops. Don't think so. So there's a couple different types of hoops that you can get as far as like the pattern, you know. The first kind is just like this. You just, yeah, really easy. This part here is attached to there and you just tighten it. Another kind has this nut and bolt, and this is the kind that I use for some of my kits because you can get them really nice and tight. So what you might have to do though, I'm not selling this one because they've put the hardware in the wrong place, which means that this is the tightest it can go and you can see all the gaps. So unfortunately I can't use this one, but what you can do is you can use these little tools. Yeah. Here, and then you can tighten and loosen it like this and get it really proper tight, like really, really tight. So these, they're an extra little step because you need extra tools, but they are really nice because you can get your fabric really tight in there. The other kind is a plastic hoop. I don't have any plastic hoops with me right now. They're all down there because they're really big, like 12 and 10 inches. I don't use them very often. But they work very, like in the exact same way, very similar. They're just plastic. They're just plastic hoops. The only bad thing about the plastic hoops is that if you keep making them really, really tight, sometimes they will deform this way and become ovals. So just be a little bit careful with that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our fabric in the hoop. So it comes with 2 rings. I tend to talk really fast on these. I don't know what's the deal. Obviously I had this in the ring, in the hoop already, because you can see the lines there. So we're just looking to kind of get it about in the center. I always cut mine in a circle, so when I'm stitching, the corners don't get caught up in the loop of your thread. So that's just something that I do. That's why it looks like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's what it is. So you put the other ring on top, or hoop, so it's like that, but we're not done. So what you're gonna do, and also, do you see that there's like creases and stuff in here? Don't worry about ironing it. You do not need to do that. You're just gonna tighten it, yeah? And then pull the fabric. Do you see how it tightens right there? And here it's still loose. You're gonna pull that fabric all the way around. So pull it and pull it and pull it and pull it. And I'm like leaning over, but I always use my belly here, put the hoop on, and really give it a nice tug. And what we're looking for is this fabric to be drum tight. So when we tap on the top, the fabric's not gonna move or anything like that, but it's gonna make a sound like a drum. So now we're gonna tighten it again, and then we're going to tighten the fabric again. So tighten the hardware, tighten the fabric, tighten the hardware, tighten the fabric. And you're gonna do it all the way around. And then finally, I like to do it one more time, just on the hardware, to make sure that it's as tight as I can make it. Really, really, really tight. And then if you run your finger around the outside edge, and if it goes down in a dip, it means that your hoop is not tight in that area. So mine's all right. And actually, you can hear that drum sound. And that's how you know it's tight. You're ready, okay? So before we transfer the pattern, I'm just gonna show you a couple more things. The first one is all of these pens. So you can use any of these types of things here. Woohoo, prep time. To transfer onto your hoop. So there's pros and cons of each one. I'm gonna try to go quickly, but not too quickly that you can't understand. So just tell me to slow down if it's a bit too quick. So my personal favorite, I'm gonna start with that, is the Frixion. I can never say it, it's always awkward, but it's the heat erasable pen. So what you do is you draw, trace it, and then you use either an iron, I don't recommend that, or a hairdryer, I do recommend that, to take off the extra lines. So what you'll see is they'll have different, where's the number on this one? I think it's at the bottom, yeah. They'll have different thicknesses of the tips. So this one is 0.5, this one here is 0.7, and this one is 10. So if you have a linen that is a looser weave and you can see a lot of the fibers better, you're going to want to go for a thicker pen so that it will glide over easier. But if you have a really thin cotton like this, you can go with the 0.5 and you'll get really, really, really thin lines. Let me see if I have an extra hoop. Normally I've got one over here that we can like try it out on. Yeah, here's this one. So here's 0.5, 7. It's not that big of a difference. I'll make it closer in just a minute. 10. So you can see that these here are much thinner, finer lines than these ones. So you can kind of judge which, they all do exactly the same thing. The only thing I will say is stay away from red, because the red color is hard to come out, and it leaves a very yellow line when you erase it. So real quick, I'm just gonna put the hairdryer on, erase these, and then you can see what I mean about them sometimes leaving a mark. So I wouldn't necessarily go like willy-nilly like everywhere. Oh my gosh, this is falling. So now they're gone. But you can kind of see just right here where I've started and stopped them. And when you put it on an angle, you can still see those marks. So I wouldn't necessarily go, like I said, willy-nilly everywhere. Like, yeah, I'm just going to draw anything I want to because it will erase. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but you can get away with quite a bit. So there's that. Obviously, if you have any questions, then just put them in and I'll stop. The next one is this here. It's the Pilot Heat Erasable Frixion pens. This will be saved as an IGTV and on YouTube. So if you forget anything or if you've come late, then it'll all be saved and you can go back and rewatch all the stuff later. So this one is a disappearing ink pen. I got this one at Joann Fabrics. I think it's in the quilting section, not necessarily embroidery. So go to the quilting section and you'll find it. So this one's really great. It's really old, like 5 years old. But the problem with this one is that it disappears on its own. It disappears with air. So it does a nice purple, quite thin line. But the problem is that like in a day, your lines won't be there. So you have to stitch really quickly or retrace a lot, you know, to like make sure that you can still see the pattern. So this is the only thing that's on there, disappearing ink. I'm sure there used to be a label or something. Air and water soluble ink from Japan. So again, pros and cons to each. The next one is the Kering water erasable pens. These erase with water, so you have to wash them off with water. So here we go with these ones. It's a nice bright blue. I have quite a few of them. But these ones, you have to take water to get the color out. And I found with some of these that you can't just like sprinkle a little bit of water where you have the color, where you have your lines. Because the pen ink will stay in the fabric. It has to really be like dissolved. Like it has to be real, not dissolved, saturated. Okay, so you can't just like spray a little bit and be like, oh, it's fine. You have to really take your fabric out of the hoop, put it in water, wait for it to dry. You can put it on a radiator or something like that if you want to like make it dry a little bit quicker. I've tried to blow dry it with the blow dryer, with your hair blow dryer, and it also keeps the blue ink in there. It almost looks like a watercolor effect. So something to think about, but it does make a really nice, lovely line. So that's great. Earlier, Mary asked about dark fabrics. So I've used a Jelly Roll pen before, beauty blogger. Here we go, Jelly Roll. I think I got this one at, where did I get this one? Hobbycraft. That's where. I think it was £1. So I used that one before on things like this, where I had the darker colored fabric. And there was one just in here. And you can kind of see some of the lines still, just barely. So like there, if you don't cover them all, then you will be able to see them just a little bit. So that's the only bad part about the Jelly Roll pen. Again, Lord Almighty. You can do this water-soluble marking pencil as well, and it's got the white. It's not like chalk. It's almost like a colored pencil. And yeah, it comes off with water, so you can do the water thing and make it all go away. The other thing you can do is what we did with the basket one. I thought I saw a spider. I was like, this isn't gonna go well. And that is using the sticky solvy. So the sticky solvy, you run it through your printer. It wouldn't go through my printer, so I just traced it, like just put it over the top and traced it. And then you can just peel it off and stick. Looks like this. Aww. She says, oh, I've not seen a Jelly Roll pen. Got a dash, but loving the live. So you can use this sticky fabric solvy. And it feels like a fabric. Like I said, it doesn't go through my printer. I don't know why. I think it's because the back is quite slippery. But the front is like a fabric. But what I did, because I couldn't run it through the printer, is literally just tape it on the back. And you can see right through it to trace it. And then it comes off. Let's see if I can get a little corner off. Like that. So it's like a thin fabric tape almost. And you stick it right on the top of your thing. Yeah, of your hoop. So you could do that for that. The only thing is that it does dissolve in water, so you have to take your hoop out, dissolve it, completely saturate it. It does take some, I almost just said fingering, but that did not sound right. You know, can you hear the rain? It does take some rubbing or something. I used a paintbrush that I've never used for painting, so it's a brand new paintbrush with stiff bristles, and I really got in there and got all the things off. So there's always sticky solvy if you want to use a darker color fabric. Okay, we're going to transfer our pattern now. Oh, I missed one. You can always use a pencil. If you don't have anything else and you can't go get anything else and you don't want to use Amazon massaging, thank you, Heather, then just use a pencil. Just use a regular pencil. If you're going to use a pencil, then all you need to do is go over the line when we stitch. So it's just so that you're actually covering that pencil because you can't erase it. That's all. So there you go. If you have any questions, again, just shout them out, or you can DM me later. There really are no stupid questions. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. And when I started, I probably had the exact same questions that you had. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So don't be afraid to just be like, I'm not sure, what do you mean by that? Or can you show something again? Or I'll DM you. That's completely fine. So I've got the 7-inch hoop. I've put my fabric in. I've tightened it up. Hi, Nadine? Yeah, just making sure it's tight one more time. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. My favorite way, because at heart I'm a little bit lazy. My favorite way is to take blue tack, put it in 3 little pieces, cut out your pattern on the inside of the line, make sure that it fits in there. This rain is very worrying. We have a very small leak in the corner of the extension over there, and I'm afraid it's gonna turn into a very big leak. And you just slide it in the back like that. Yeah. Put it where you want it. So you can see I've cut it a little bit too small because on the edges. But that's okay. And you're gonna make sure that your blue tack is squished on the paper and on the wood, or else it won't stick all the way. You can put it like that. Okay. And there you go. Done. This way it's not going to move on you at all. I put my other hand behind it when I'm tracing. So like this, as I'm going around to trace it on there. You can see it really clearly. If you don't like doing this way, that's okay. Or if you have dark fabric, or if you just want to see a different way, then that's okay. You can do it this way as well. So the only bad part about this way is that I like to stitch like this when I'm not using my hoop stand. I've got a hoop stand here with the brick, and my hoop goes in the clamp. Yeah. I tighten it up, and then this is where it sits. That's where I normally stitch for the stitch-alongs. But normally when I'm not stitching for the stitch-along, I put my hand on the inside. Can you see? Like that. And then hold it like this, and then this is how I do my stitching. Ooh, ooh, like that. So if you don't stitch with your hand like this, is what I'm trying to say, and you want to stitch like this, that's okay too. You can put this right here, right over top of it, and then use your method, whichever pen you want, to trace that way. The only thing with this is that, like I said, because I like to hold it the other way around, you take your fabric out and then flip your fabric over and make it so that the pattern is on the top here. Okay? So there's one way, two ways. The other way is you can use this in front of a window. I just put it up, literally up to a window. You can do it the other way in front of a window as well. You can do like this in front of the window if you have a darker color fabric that you can't quite see through so well. If you don't have a printer, there's a couple ways that you can do this as well. If you have an iPad or computer screen. Oh, my iPad's almost dead. Let's see if I can find the pattern. Where are you? Too many layers. Okay. Oh, let's take the this off. Okay, so if you have there's the light, good. If you have an iPad, then you can just make it zoom in and out to however big that you want it, and then lay it over the top. You might want to make sure that your brightness is all the way up. And you can put it over the top like that and trace it that way. If you have a computer screen, I've done it like this before as well. I don't recommend it 100%, but I've done it before if I was in a pinch and you don't have a very sharp thing. But you can take it like this and put it over the top like that and trace it that way. Again, I don't 100% recommend it this way, but I've done it 20 or 30 times before I had my iPad. So there's another way that you can do it. Obviously, if you have a light box, that's basically the same thing. There's also apps that you can get that are light box apps that make your screen a lot brighter. So like even brighter than doing the brightness all the way up. What else? If you go to a dark room, it will be brighter. So there's always that. If you can't see it in the daytime very well to trace it, then go to your bedroom or the bathroom, turn off all the lights, and then it'll be much brighter. I was going to say something else. No, I can't remember what it was. Oh, the guided access. So with your iPads, oftentimes when you're tracing, the pattern will move like this. If you go to, accessibility, you should be able to see a guided access option. And what it does is it makes your home screen untouchable, basically. So when you first start, you draw your you draw where you don't want to touch. So if you want the whole thing, yeah, I don't want to touch any of that. And you push start, you enter a passcode, whatever your passcode is. This is great for your kids as well if you don't want your kids to touch something. And in this box, you can't move the screen. Okay, not at all. So whatever size you've locked that into, that's gonna stay. And no matter how much you touch this here at all, it's not gonna move. But you can touch on the outside. So you can see I can make this bigger or smaller. I can touch all these things because they're not actually in the box that I made. So there's always that. To turn it off, you just do the button 3 times again, and then you can do resume, options, whatever. And so that's always good, especially for tracing patterns. What else? Colors of thread. Let's see. Oh, the last thing about the pattern, if you don't print it at 100% and you found that later it printed at 99 or 98 or whatever, don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. Now it's sunny out. It really doesn't matter. As long as that all of the things are on the hoop, it's fine. Okay, so don't fret, don't freak out, think, oh goodness, it's not going to be the same. It's totally fine. I'm probably going to say that a million times. It's totally fine. But it is. So there you go. In the pattern that I've sent you, I've sent a colored in version like this as well. And this can be like kind of a pattern, a color guide. So I've just pulled some colors. Let me move these out of the way too. Here. So what I've got are some reds for the mushroom. You can make them any color you want to. You can look up different kinds of mushrooms. I feel like this is really accessible for anybody who doesn't necessarily have all the colors at home, because you can make them you can even make it gray if you wanted. So what I would do is we've got 2 different colors here for the mushroom top. So maybe pick 2 colors that kind of go together, darker and a lighter version of the same color. Put those aside. Then we've got the mushroom stem, which is maybe, I've colored it here like a grayish brown. Is that called beige? You know, again, 2 colors that are kind of the same, but not. Maybe just for a little bit of highlights or something. Maybe these 2. So there's your mushroom done. Then we have the fox. Foxes come in all kinds of different colors. If you follow Juniper Fox on Instagram, absolutely lovely account. A lot about animal conservation. We'll talk about that a different day. But she often takes in foxes that can't be put out into the wild again. And so one of them is Juniper. There's other one called Fig. There's one called, I think she's got like 5 or 6 now. They have all different kinds of colors. So they have anything from a gray to a brown to a nice like reddish green, reddish orange. So you could do like an orange for the fox, and then maybe like a darker orange for some details, and then maybe like a white for the tail, or even, that's a bit too dark. I'll have to look in my stash, but we'll go with that for now. Yeah, maybe for the fox. So maybe just 2 colors for the fur, one for the white face, and then black maybe for some eyes. You could make eyes if you wanted to, but I made mine sleeping, so it'll be a little bit easier. So we've got that. Again, these are just me pulling for whatever. So you can change the colors if you want to, obviously. The rest is all going to be greens. So any kind of green from dark to light green. I always say do a light green, a dark green, light green, medium, dark, and then one with yellow. Obviously, we have more greens here. So you'll need more colors than that. But there's no right or wrong way for this. So let's take all these out. So these right here would be great for dark green. I'll zoom in a minute or show them to you. Yeah, all of these would be great for dark green. This would be great for medium. This is a yellowy green because you can see that it has more yellow in it compared to these ones. What the heck is going on outside? It's messing up all the light. I can't see anything. And then these here can be good for a lighter green. Okay, so we've got dark, medium, light. And then these ones here have a bit of yellow in them. You can tell that they look a bit more yellow than the other ones. So this goes back to color mixing, and I always do this for the prep videos when we talk about greens. But it's literally, maybe the best way I can show you is to do it on here, the color mixer. So as you're coming over here, you're gonna get teals. Can you see this? You're gonna get more teals, and the color changes up here at the corner, this little dot or this right here. Any kind of these teal colors like this, and it's because it's blue and green together. So the more green that you get, the more plain green you're gonna get. So just straight up green, dark, medium, light. And then the more we turn it over here, again, you're gonna get like solid green. And then these ones will have more gray in them. These ones will have more white in them. And then the closer you get over here, you'll get all of your greens with yellows. So you can see that you're right on the edge of yellow and green where they're mixing together. So that's why we got a color like this, which is more like this color. Does that make sense? And then the closer to yellow that you get, that's when you get straight up yellow. That's when you'll get yellow with black, with gray, yellow, yellow. And then you move around the color wheel, you know, in the same kind of way. So now you'll get orangish yellow, orange, reddish yellow, and all the colors. So hopefully that explains a little bit without being like, you've completely lost me. But what we're looking for is some greens, any of these kind of light greens like this, medium greens like this, dark greens like this. You could use some with blue if you wanted. So again, going to like the teals or some with yellow to have some more of that yellowy green. And you can get real yellow with it. It's okay too. So if you have the Procreate app, it's always lovely to just play around with the colors and just see what you get and plan them that way. I'll tell you there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the grasses, maybe nine different types of plants. Some will have outlines, some will not have an outline, some will just have details. So you can always mix and match some of the other ones. So don't think, oh, I need like 17 kinds of greens. You don't need that, because you could always use this green here as an outline for this one, but then also this one to fill in that one. Do you know what I mean? So you can mix and match your colors, keep your color palette consistent, and it looks a lot more intentional that way as well. Okay, I think that's all. I think that's it. Where is that coming from? All these little pieces of twine or something. So there you go. You can go really rustic like this, or you can pick some brighter colors even and mix them up a little bit. I could talk about colors all day long, so I'm probably just going to leave you like that. For the front part, I've had a couple people ask, what are we going to do for the front part? So the front part, obviously you can do whatever you want with it. There's a video on applique that you could do an applique piece of fabric just on the bottom right here, so that the fox and the mushroom and all of these plants are all sitting on top of another piece of fabric. You could do a watercolor. There's a video on watercolor in the last prep video for the bag and for the Under the Sea Sea Life Stitchalong. You could do a watercolor down there. You could do like a freestyle flower situation, like in the house. If you weren't here for the house, here's a cute one. I'm like right by all the Stitchalongs. So if you wanted to do something like this at the bottom where there's just some flowers, you know, and then the fox is like laying in the flowers, you could do something like that down here. You could fill it up with grass if you want to, like this. Like we'll do a little bit of grass poking out to kind of fill up the bottom section there. So we will do that. You can continue that on the bottom if you want to and make them kind of like covered in grass. That's completely up to you. It's really however you want to do it. I think I'm going to leave mine just plain just because I think you'll be able to see it better. Do you know what I mean? And it won't be so like crowded, but there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you want to cut a half circle piece of fabric, stick it on there, put it in your hoop, you know. So you'd have to do this before we started. Do you know what I'm saying? You couldn't do it later. So you take it out of the hoop, put your fabric where you want it to be, and then copy the pattern on top. You could do that. Obviously just on the bottom part here. You could do a little watercolor thing. Hi, Carrie. You could do a little watercolor thing down there if you wanted to with just like some, like a brown dirt color, or you could do some greens. You could do like a patterned fabric, like some flowers or something. There's all kinds of things that you could do with it. So if you feel like I've never done embroidery before, this is so overwhelming, then just don't do it. Don't do anything. Do you know what I mean? Just do the stitching, you're good to go. If you've done a couple Stitchalongs already, you should be trying to, you know, what's it called? Test yourself. That's not the right word. You should be trying to challenge yourself. I've only had one coffee today, okay? You should be trying to challenge yourself. So think about, if you've done at least one or two other ones, think about adding something else to it. Whether it be the applique, whether it be just filling it in with stitches. You can't go wrong. You really, really can't. And if you hate it, cut it out. It'll be fine. You just cut it out. The only thing I didn't talk about is scissors. Speaking of cut it out, I use embroidery scissors, beauty blogger, like this. They have a curved tip, so I can get really down in there. Yeah. These are the other ones I like. They're from Warm Crochet. They're really pretty. They're really freaking sharp. I've dropped them a couple times. I stand on like a little rug, so thankfully they haven't like been broken or anything, but oh man, let me tell you, when I've dropped him a couple times, and I think my life flashed before my eyes thinking that I was going to impale my foot with the tips of these because they're so sharp. But these are really great for cutting out threads. So if you ever, you know, got messed up or anything and you wanted to cut them out, all you need to do is put it underneath like that and slice. Okay, so if you only have the curved ones, it might be good to get a pair of straight ones as well. Stork scissors are always a good, you know, option, and they're readily available, lots of different places. Ooh, another tool that I really, really love and I really recommend, tweezers. So these are perfect for when you cut something out and you can't get all those tiny, tiny, tiny little threads out. I need to do my nails. I'm sorry. I keep looking at them. They're so bad. But when you need to get all those tiny, tiny, tiny little things out, you need to get some. And these are not the ones you do your eyebrows with or pick any other hairs out or anything like that. Like, these are strictly for embroidery. Okay? Revlon. You don't have to get name brand ones. Just get the cheapest little pair, but make sure that they're sharp at the tip. So you don't want the ones that are like rounded tip ones, you know? You want them to be quite sharp at the top. So there you go. I think I've covered everything. Did I forget anything? I feel like I've covered everything. And I've talked like a million miles a minute, so I'm really, really sorry for that. I think I've said about a million times as well, but that's life, innit? So I think that's it. Again, just try your best, have a bit of fun. This shouldn't be something where you go home and at night you're like, I really don't want to do this. This is you don't want to dread it. Do you know what I'm saying? You want to just try your best, have a go. There's no right or wrong way. Like I always say, I'm showing you one way of doing it. There's always another way to do it. So if you find, oh, I know that stitch and I do it differently, then do it your own way. Like, don't let someone tell you what to do. Just have a good time. We're all here. We're here for the community spirit. You know, we're all working together. We're all going through it together. We're all doing it together. I really, 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 really hope that you'll post your progress on Instagram or in the Barmy Foxes Facebook group. It's a private group, so no one else who isn't in the group will see. Do you know what I mean? You know how some groups anyone can see? Ours is completely private, so no one else in your Facebook friends can see what's in there. So I highly suggest you post on your Instagram stories or in the Facebook group so everyone can cheer you on. Tag at the Barmy Fox with the line underneath of it in your story, and then I can repost into my stories. What else? We use the hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL. Let's see what pen is on here. Nope. Why? There we go. The letters don't have to be capitalized if you don't want them to be. It'll all go to the same place. But this is where we can keep track of everybody. So this is where everybody's feeds go if you post it onto your actual main grid. And the main grid is, because some people have some questions about this, the main grid on your Instagram is this right here. This is like your main grid. I don't know why it's not loading, but this is the main grid. So every time you post here, and you go down here to the Stitchalong, and you click on the Barmy Fox SAL, this is everybody's. So this is the top ones, which means that people get like the most likes or whatever. I don't know why that's on there because she's not part of this. And then this is the recent ones, so the most recent ones that people have posted. So this is where your picture will come if you post it on your grid. Now, if you post it in your stories, so there's me, and then you can swipe up like this and mention someone. So the Barmy Fox like this, done. Okay, or you can do like this and go at the, I'll be like the last one. And you see how it has the line underneath of it? That's how you want it to be with the line. And that means that it will tag me, myself. That's really not a cute picture, is it? Yeah, so when you go up like this, there's all kinds of other things you can do. Obviously, you can do a hashtag in there and it will go on to the hashtag stories feed. You can do GIFs. You can do all kinds of stuff in here. So, yeah, feel free. Feel free to just to do stuff, you know, play around with it. So that's it for me. I've wasted way too much time, too much of your time, more like. Post it, we will all like it. I hope you're not talking about my story. But Veronica's right. Everybody is so supportive. Like, it honestly makes me cry when I think about it too much because everybody likes everybody's pictures. Everybody comments. We're all like one big little family. So, all right. If you've got any questions, let me know. DM me, or you can even email if you want to. My email's in there in the instructions. Yeah, just if you've got a question, just ask. Tell your friends. We can all do it together. And yeah, we start on Monday. So I'll see you then. All right. Bye.